All right, preparing to live stream this meeting. All right, we're currently live streaming on YouTube right now. So once I get this shareable link, that will be shared. All right, let's share this. All right, preparing to live stream this meeting. Let's go to. Cool. So I'm gonna put this in the comments.
Are we serious talkback actors now?
Well, anybody could join right now. Who knows? Paste. All right. So it's currently in the comments, the link to join.
Why isn't Embolito dancing?
I'm telling people to join the Talkback link, AD.
Oh, a couple more people are going to join. And then here's Dan and Mark. And let's do gallery view so that everyone gets viewed during all this. Let's see. Okay, we got 2 people watching. So we'll wait to see if anyone else wants to join. Here's James. Okay, lovely. And we've got more music of James's in the background. Okay, all right, we have 5 people watching right now. Hey, Pete and Wendy are watching. Hey, guys.
Do they have the right crackers?
I don't know. Okay, Uncle Bob is here. All right, so yeah, so thank you all so much. Actually, I'm just going to close my door briefly. I'll be right back. All right,
I think the music was brilliant. Brilliant.
I'm very glad you liked it.
Thank you all so much for joining us for our little talk back up. Here's Chris. Oh, and here's Ben. Actually gonna have most of the cast here with us tonight. For those who are watching, my name's Colin Palmer. I'm the director of the production, and I was also playing Richard. We have a lot of other members of the cast and the creative team who are here right now, including, and whenever I say your name, you guys can wave, although I think everyone's names are there. We have Amy Bolito, who played Lady Anne and the murderer. We have A.D. Newcomer, who was George, Duke of Clarence, and also our assistant director. Sarah Stork-Johan, who was Queen Elizabeth. Justin Harris, who was the Earl Rivers, Bishop of Ely, and priest Sir Christopher Erswick. We have Mark Sisson, who was Lord Stanley, Earl of Derby. Dan Waiulo, who was William Lord Hastings. Sir James Tyrrell, and the Earl of Richmond. We have James Waiulo, who was our composer, who wrote the original score for the production. Ben Eager, who was Prince Edward. Christian Lepore, who was King Edward. the Lord Mayor, and Sir Walter Herbert. And we also have Tim Ferriss, who was the Duke of Buckingham. Thank you guys so much. Thank you all so much to be for being here for the talkback. Yeah, so this was originally a production that we worked on 3 years ago with a small theater company called East End Mobile Theater, and it was a traveling production across the North Fork. And most of us were involved with that same production. I think it was everyone here except for Christian and AD were in that original production as well. So I just want to give a shout out to John Tramontana and Emil Breitenbach, who were involved in that production, who were not able to be involved this year, but their additions were definitely helped affect the shape of that show and this show as well. And then also Kayla Lassard, who was our stage manager for that production, who really kept me sane during that and made sure that this production could exist in this format as well. So Amy, thank you so much for the kind words. So glad you enjoyed it. Amy Sponza is the president of Northeast Stage and approached me in the early summer about doing this production, since Northeast Stage always does an annual Shakespeare in the Park production. And weren't able to do it this year because of COVID. So we're glad to be able to be a part of free Shakespeare in this way. But yeah, since this was originally a full live theater production and we turned it into this Zoom filmed theater production, it was definitely a big change to be able to do that. Does anyone in the casts have anything to say about what they experienced in the differences between the two? And then also anyone who's watching, if you guys have questions, feel free to put it in the chat and we'll answer as many as possible.
It's AD. I just have one request. If we could like take the music down a little bit, because I'm having trouble hearing. So I'm hearing the music. Are you, or is that just my computer? It's probably just my computer.
I can hear a little bit, so yeah, maybe from someone else's computer as well.
Okay.
We also have John Bradley here, who was Sir Robert Brackenbury and the Earl of Oxford. So yeah, so for anyone who was in the original production, how difficult was it to do this production? I mean, it's a completely different medium, but I mean, we did a full production with these characters already. How was the transition going from that production to turning it to this Zoom version?
It was like hanging out with old friends again. It was really nice. I also don't miss my like 15-minute pre-show that I had to do, where I'm just sitting with a portrait for 15 minutes. So thanks for not making me do that this time.
If I could think of a way to do it.
Wrap it and then just like sit on your couch and watch the work that you did, instead of like, you know, like you said, do like your pre-show thing or be backstage. Just say, okay, we did this, we put it together, and we haven't been able to see each other in person, and then just sit on the couch and watch the work and see everyone talk to me. It was a very as a theater artist, it was like an incredibly new experience.
Yeah, I think that it was kind of a lot simpler than doing it in person, because you know, you didn't have to deal with the downtime, you didn't have to do any costume changes, you didn't really have any physical aspect either. Well, most of us, I know that you know, there were some real scenes that were shot, but so I think that it kind of made it easier in some ways, but it also made it harder, because you needed to, you know, since it was simpler, then it ended up being a lot more focused on the text and focused on, you know, your actual performance and what was most important with it, and, you know, trying to represent the character without having anything extra, basically. So I think it was easier in some ways, but for the same reasons, a little more difficult, maybe.
I'll say that one of the strange things was being on screen. the difference between looking at yourself on the screen acting and looking in the camera reaching whoever we're talking to through there. That was a bloody fun change from being in a live performance. But it was very interesting. It makes you think about the motive of, your eyesight and, your eyes became a character in itself. And it made it added some stakes to, what we were doing, in our performance.
I would have to say I agree with that. And I think that for me, never having really done anything like this, it was very hard to know where to look at certain times, like where everyone is going to be placed. Because if I'm with Colin on the stage and he's right next to me, that's one thing. If I'm looking at him on the screen, I don't quite know exactly where he is in relation to me. So I agree with Justin. It's like there's more of a motive behind everything you're saying, because you have to get it across in a totally different way. And also, it was so nice to see the growth from that staged production 3 years ago to this, and the differences in the text and the small little nuances that everybody did then to now. It was really cool to see that journey.
Yeah, to jump on that, like I know I for one thought I was like freer, or like more free to go pitch a quiet as opposed to like, having to like reach out to people like, in the back of an auditorium, let's say. Like if I'm just like talking to like my computer screen, I could like, take it like, lower and, a little bit more subtle than that. That was a good way to approach the character.
Yeah, Tim, I thought that was especially evident in your All Souls Day speech, which, I mean, well done, my friend. But
thank you, Dan. Thank you.
You're welcome, Tim. Yeah, I think those of us who were in the original show really benefited from being able to just kind of revive the work that we did in the past and kind of re-explore it, which was a lot of fun. My hat's off to the people who are new and are just had to build something from the ground up for this version of the show, which I think, in my mind, seems extremely challenging, because you're starting fresh in this really weird way. But yeah, it was fun. It was fun to explore again.
So in that area, Christian, AD, and John, how did it feel for you guys going into this production, being completely new to kind of this production concept, to these characters, that you didn't get the luxury of being able to work for a few months on it already and do kind of all the work that everyone else had done, but still be able to deliver these fantastic performances? I know Christian and John, you guys started a little earlier with AD doing text work, which I think did that feel like that kind of helped you kind of get ready a little easier to get into the rehearsal room?
I feel like it absolutely did. I think that I said when I was working with you guys on Measure for Measure that AD is a wizard in her ability to kind of get you inside the text and really just draw every little bit out of it. And I know that working with her was invaluable. And AD, I hope that I did, pull out the things that you helped me to find, because I was certainly thinking about them all the time.
You did. You did.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Good job, my friend.
I've had the opportunity to do a little bit of work with television and film. So I was kind of prepared for it, but it's a different beast than like Tim and John said. It's a different beast that when you're projecting to the back of a hall, trying to get your emotions across, you have to be, there's an economy there. And especially when you're playing kind of the king with this big Centaurian opening thing. You're just like in the back of your head, you're like, oh my God, do we need to pull that back? And it's a dance that you have to kind of do. But it's very, it was very helpful, I think, kind of realizing, okay, you have tight deadlines. You have to kind of learn one scene at a time and get that out of your way and then just kind of move on. It is also nice in theory, not that I'm advocating this, that if you have your scene in like a text document on your screen that you can look at it, perhaps not that I'm advocating this, but it's a fail safe should you need it.
There's a comment from Amy Sponza saying there was an intimacy and the editing helped us know who to look at. The eye line seemed well placed. I'm very, very, very glad that you noticed that, Amy. Oh, and also, Amy said, thankful to Suffolk County for allowing us to do this instead of a live show. So part of what allowed us to be able to do this production is the fact that Northeast Age got a grant from Suffolk County to be able to do the original summer show, which thankfully has not been canceled. It's just been postponed for a year, which is going to be Taming of the Shrew, directed by AD. But we needed to use this grant by the end of the year. So we're really glad that we were able to use it to revive Richard III. Now, James, who is joining us here, who is Dan's brother as well. A few of us are not on Long Island. Amy is in Virginia. Sarah is in Vermont, but James is in Los Angeles, California right now. So James, I can remember you had kind of an interesting way of developing the score for this when you were working on it 3 years ago.
It was a unique experience in the sense that it can't really be recreated again. We had a piano in our family for many years, and it had been neglected for a long time. And unfortunately, there was no real way to save it. So we decided to start dismantling it. So we ripped all of the keys off of it and started taking some of the plates off, and we stopped for some reason. And Colin, when you approached me to make some music for Richard III, I said, "Oh, this is good. This will be good." And I had this like half, like husk of an instrument, and I just sort of went to town on it, and it was really fun. To be completely honest, I didn't have particular scenes in mind when I was making particular songs. I just sort of had the aura of it all in my mind. So it was you, Colin, who sort of placed the pieces where they ought to go. And that was a really fun thing for me because I made it all, but in a way you sort of designed it after the fact, which was a collaborative thing that I felt was really unique and fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was actually, we were at Tim's home. I remember when we did this because I think it was the same time Hannah, James's partner, was filming a short film, and right. James and Kayla and I, our stage manager for that production, sitting around Kayla's laptop, figuring out kind of things we really knew we wanted to be in specific scenes, and then talking out other pieces. And so, yeah, I think the collaborative aspect of it was a lot of fun. A couple of the pieces, I know afterwards I kind of asked, like, there's a couple scenes like I need like a very specific thing for. So the drums during the battle to Richard's death, that was something that you did afterwards. I basically just said, I just need to hear a drum, because he says he hears a drum. Can you give me a drum? And you made that, which I think I remember it was like you made it actually with hitting your pillow or something to get the reverberation.
I was living in Manhattan at the time, and you needed it sooner than later, and you can't fit a drum set in a Manhattan apartment. So I had drumsticks though, and a pillow. So yeah, it was drumsticks, a pillow, and a lot of reverb.
Yeah. and I feel like that's one of the best pieces. And I love the way that added so much to the death and to um, Richmond's eventual success in the show.
Percussion, you just hit stuff. It doesn't have to be a drum.
Yeah.
Colin, going off of that though, what I really found fascinating was the way that we were able in this new, or you were able and the cast was able, because I'm already out of the show at that point, to do the ghosts in a very different, unique way in the editing process that made it so much more tangible than I think it did in our actual physical production of it. So that was something I wanted to mention.
A big thank you actually goes to, I'm really glad that a great thing about this production and the previous version of Richard III is that it has been a very collaborative production, and the entire cast kind of collaborating on things. And so actually Amy was the one who helped us figure out everything with the lighting for the ghosts.
Yeah.
Which then afterwards I basically saw at a rehearsal. It was like a rehearsal I wasn't able to go to. I had to cancel. And I was like, I still wanted to rehearse, just play around with things. And at the next rehearsal, you guys showed me what you were playing around with. And I was just like, this is so much better than what I would have thought. But it like helped me like figure out like, oh, and then if we can do this with the editing. So there's so much great stuff about with theater being such a collaborative art form.
The ghosts just took over that night.
Yeah.
Went nuts.
Yeah, I think I just want to say one quick thing, that the thing I think the most about doing this was, although it's not the ideal form for, a theatrical production, we were still able to find, and people came up with ideas that were exclusive to this form that you can't do live, and that were still, I think, really good. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was encouraging and inspiring during these times.
Yeah, even with this being a filmed production where people can see kind of after it gets processed on YouTube, you can watch tonight's stream at any other point. But even with that, it still exists in its own time, kind of unique from all of our other versions of Richard III. There are things you'll only be able to experience in this way with how we explore this text, things that you could only experience with our performances when we're in Orient, or our performances in Greenport, or our performances in Jamesport. There's something great about theater that way. And so we kind of get the best of both worlds in this sense. That people who weren't able, like I had a message from a friend in London who said, I won't be able to watch at 1 a.m. Starting at 1 a.m., but I'll start watching it tomorrow after it gets processed. So we hope that other people will be able to watch the stream going forward. But want to thank you all so much for watching this stream tonight and this premiere. It's definitely the oddest opening night that I have ever experienced, but it is one of the best. Just because it was such a nice experience to be able to sit in the living room with my family and pull it up on the TV and watch it and have a drink and have some snacks. So I hope you were all able to enjoy your viewings as well. So a big thank you to everyone here in the cast. Are there any closing statements from everyone before we officially close the book?
Just from me, fantastic job, cast. Really, really well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, actually, that was something that I wanted to say, that it was awesome being able to actually watch the show rather than being backstage when I'm not on stage. So, that was cool that I can actually see it in its entirety this way. And, I mean, Amy, I don't even think we share a scene in this show. So, it was great seeing what you could actually do and everything. And, it was great. Everyone did a great job. Good job, everyone.
It was also nice during this whole thing that like Sarah and I could still be a part of it because we don't live on New York anymore. And like we were still able to be part of the original cast and then part of this too, which was just great. Because I think Sarah and I would have fought anybody who you would have cast as us anyway.
I agree with that. And I have to say that this is its own time capsule now, which is really kind of a neat thing. Like, you know, when you do theater, it kind of is there for that moment and then it's kind of ephemeral, it's kind of gone. And now we have a little bit of a time capsule of not only the show that we are so proud of, but also this time period and what we can do and what we're missing as well. So we've kind of got this awesome little nugget that we can all hold on to. So awesome nugget to hang on to, everybody. Thank you for sharing.
I was talking with Sarah during the broadcast, and we both kind of said, well, I hope that we do more of these. And I think we kind of, you know, we learned a lot. I'm sure that, you know, as far as staging and editing, you've got all kinds of things now that you can say, wow, I would love to do this and this and this. And I think that, you know, I mean, hopefully we don't have to do this exclusively for a whole lot longer, but it's nice to think that we could. And Colin, I really want to thank you for bringing me in on this. I was sad that you know, I didn't even know about this when your original production came, and I would have loved to have been a part of it. And I'm glad that you brought me in. It was very special. So thank you.
Thank you, Christian. It was so wonderful to be able to have you and AD and John as a part of this show, finally, and join our Richard III family. Yorkists forever, Lancasters never. Thank you guys so much.
I don't at all feel like the second Becky.
That's good. Or the second Aunt Viv.
The second Darren Cooper.
So again, thank you all so much for being a part of this, and thank you so much everyone who has been watching this talkback and watching, most importantly, our live stream. So tell all of your friends that tomorrow they'll be able to watch the live stream at any point at their convenience. So thank you all so much, and take care. Good night, everyone.
All right, thanks.